And with me now is Tom Greatrex, the Chief Executive of the Nuclear Industry Association. Tom, thanks for joining us. You must naturally be pleased by this news.
Yes, pleased that after having taken some time to look at all the components of the deal as they said they were going to do, the government have concluded that this is the right thing that we need to do. We need to get new power stations built. We need to replace capacity that's gone offline and going offline the next few years. And we need to do that in as low carbon a way as possible, in a way that's secure and reliable and helps to complement other sources of power which are not as predictable.
Do you think the government has looked at this deal in great detail? We just heard from Labour in the House of Commons a short while ago, Barry Gardiner, the Shadow Energy Secretary, saying that he thought it might be window dressing.
Well, look, Barry will make his own comments. He's made a number of different comments over the past few weeks in relation to this. I think what is important is that they have taken the opportunity to check, because there were members of the government, new Prime Minister, new Chancellor, new Energy Secretary, who weren't as involved in this previously. They had the chance to do that, and they've listened probably, no doubt, to lots of noise there's been around whether or not this is the right thing. But when you look at what we need in terms of electricity capacity, when you look at what we know is going offline, when you look at what the current system can deliver and what we need to be able to deliver in a time when electricity demand is likely to increase, then it's important that we have that low carbon baseload, and that's what nuclear can provide. This is just the first. There needs to be more than this in the future if we're going to ensure that we have that supply, and this is just one part of it, and I'm pleased they've got to the point they have.
OK, so you're talking about energy supply. Is the UK nuclear industry satisfied around the areas of security concerns? We've obviously just heard from the scene there at Bradwell. Bradwell, we know the Chinese really want to design and build a plant there. So if we look at Hinkley, if we look at Bradwell, is the UK nuclear industry satisfied about the security of projects like that?
Well, look, as your reporter made clear, the UK's regulatory standards in relation to not just safety but also security are the highest in the world. They're world renowned, and the regulator, the Office of Nuclear Regulation, is absolutely independent of government, and quite rightly so. So it's not true to say the government just said that you can build one at Bradwell. Any reactor design has to go through that process. It's an exhaustive process, takes about 5 years.
OK, so just give us an insight into how the regulator here would be involved in the process at Hinkley or at Bradwell.
Well, any reactor design, and what was suggested was that in relation to Bradwell it will be a different reactor design than the Hinkley one. The Hinkley one's the only one that's been approved so far. That they would have to go through that process to ensure that that it works, that it's effective, that look at all of the components, all the security measures are correct, all the safety measures are in place, that the decommissioning aspects are all factored into it. It takes a long time, it takes about 5 years to do, and any new reactor design, whether it be from China or anywhere else, has to go through that and has to satisfy those foremost experts in nuclear in the world that they are satisfied that it's safe, secure and reliable, and nothing can go through before that's happened.
So that involvement is pre any deal. Is it also during the build? Does that involvement continue during the build, and indeed once the plant has been built?
Yeah, the regulatory regime, which is partly the Office of Nuclear Regulation, partly the Environment Agency, there's constant and ongoing regulation of everything. And the first part of it is called the generic design assessment, which you have to get before you can even put a deal together. And then after that there's ongoing regulation, and that happens throughout the lifetime of the existing nuclear power stations we have, and then through different regulation and decommissioning as well. It's a highly regulated sector. That's absolutely right that it is, and people should have confidence in that.
OK, Tom Greatrex, Chief Executive of the Nuclear Industry Association, thank you very much. The headlines for you now on BBC Newsroom Live. The government gives the go-ahead for a new nuclear power plant at Hinkley Point in Somerset, but there are new conditions attached.